Welcome to Werezilla's Retrospective. I'm your host, Werezilla. You'll have to excuse the different locations this time around. After what Scorponok did in the last episode, I'm gonna have to be switching locations for a while. But on to today's franchise. What was that?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am today's entertainment. I'm afraid your normal host is indisposed at the moment. So I'll be taking things over here. And how appropriate, because today's franchise is all about my old pal, Batman. Batbrain is one of the longest-running heroes of DC Comics, and by extension, the various renditions range from a real threat to a bad joke. And it was during the Silver Age where Batbrain was at his most polarizing. Case in point, the squeaky clean 60s TV show, starring Quahog Mayor Adam West. This song is just too subtle. Who's the show about again? And of course, this show has no arc, no long-running story. It's all a chaotic mess. And with no overarching plot, that just leaves us with the characters and recurring themes. First up, the Dork Knight himself.
Not luck, Robin. We were prepared, but it is true. Some days, one is luckier than others.
Well, that's odd. I'm not used to actually understanding what Batbrain has to say. Usually he sounds like a grizzly with throat cancer.
Where were the other drugs going?
Oh, I've been looking forward to this. I wanted to see what West would do. And I was so disappointed. A goody two-shoes working closely with the police. Clearly he hasn't realized he's not one of them. Even if he'd like to be. After all, look at you, Bats. You're just a freak. Like me. Also, I couldn't resist.
Are we just letting them go, Batman?
As the duly deputized officer of the law, I had no tangible evidence to hold them on.
Do I look like a cop?
Holy heart failure.
Alright, I almost forgot about the boy blunder. Although given this show, they probably should change it to the 20-something blunder. Boy Blunder seems to just be here to serve as the yes man to Bats. Rarely disagrees, always saying how great the old Guano Man is, and of course, is always needing to be rescued. As the dynamic dunderheads get into traps by us higher criminals, the kid is never the one who gets the solution. It's always the caped fool. Which of course is a complete irony since he's the more genre-savvy of the two.
Haven't you noticed how we always manage to escape the vicious ensnarements of our underhanded opponents? Don't you know why?
Because we're smarter than they are.
I prefer to believe it's because our hearts are pure.
You're about as pure of heart as the asshole who normally hosts this show, Bats. And he's not pure of heart at all. And then there's the good cops, Commissioner Gordon and Police Chief O'Hara.
I don't know who he is behind that mask of his, but I do know when we need him. And we need him now.
Get used to those two idiots saying that a lot. Their dependence on Bats, the Gotham Police Department. It's a bad joke. But I think my favorite stupid thing they do is right about here. They decide to put Bruce Wayne and Batman on the phone, and neither one of them is smart enough to realize it's the same voice.
Batman? Yes, Mr. Wayne. Have you heard Mr. Freeze's scurrilous demands? Just briefly. If Robin and I act as go-betweens, are you prepared to make the telecast at midnight and pay the ransom, Mr. Wayne? I have no choice, Batman. Then may I suggest you tape the broadcast from the commissioner's office an hour earlier. And we will have a dummy package of money. I'll make the necessary arrangements and meet you at the commissioner's office at 11. Fine. Did you get all that, Commissioner?
And how appropriate that a commenter on YouTube said, "But despite this, there are episodes saying Gordon is a good police commissioner." Could somebody please just shoot this idiot and get it over with? Shot through the heart, and you're too late, darling. You give love a bad name. But at least O'Hara knows how to spell.
Trouble. Trouble.
But if there was one person who isn't an incompetent boob, it would be the Bat's personal bat slave, Alfred. Alfred pulls the Cape Crusaders out of trouble plenty. He can even face off against other criminals like...
Someone get me off this crazy dumbwaiter! I can't breathe!
Joker says he can't breathe, Alfred. Why don't you give him some breathing space?
With pleasure, sir.
You're dead meat, Pennyworth. Dead meat. And now for the real stars of the show. The ones that make Gotham City the criminal underworld it is. The villains, the better class of criminal. First up, yours truly, the Crown Prince of Crime. I'm still the same master criminal I always am. Hell, I even make my own utility belt in one episode. While on almost all occasions, I'm intentionally trying to get Batbrain killed. What? No, I don't want to kill him. He's too much fun. What am I going to do afterwards? Go back to ripping off mob dealers? That'd be boring.
Wait, first we must shut off the poisonous gas and pump it out. Some passerby might get killed.
Oh, come on. Innocent people getting hurt is the fun part. Then there's the Riddler, played by Frank Gorshin. And I gotta say, tights do not look good on you, Eddie. Whenever you're excited, we can tell. And again, we can always tell when Guano Head is excited, so maybe that's the norm for everyone. Good thing he later got the green suit. And good job at using Batman's sense of justice against him, as in the very first episode, he tricks the dynamic Dunderheads into a lawsuit, suing Bats for...
$1 million.
Then there's the Penguin, played by Mickey from the Rocky movies.
Flip the jab. That's it. Mentalize. See that bum in front of you. You see yourself doing right, and you do right.
And then there's...
Yours is not to reason why. Yours is to do as I tell you to, or you'll keep chasing my cat o' nine tails.
Everyone's favorite little kitty cat, acting wildly out of character. See? Minions under her command. What kind of cat thief has minions? Grand plans or murderous intentions? Does she really look like a chick with a plan? And then there's Mr. Freeze, who was at least smart enough to just shoot the Cape Crusaders instead of just leaving him in a death trap like everyone else. Also, Mr. Freeze can't keep a consistent appearance in every episode he's in, which has only one logical explanation for it. Even Mad Hatter makes an appearance, played by David Wayne. And admittedly, he has a little more dignity here than he would in a later DC work.
Now, you may ask, why do I want to obliterate Superman? In order to rule the world. You may ask, why do I want to rule the world? In order to obliterate Sweden.
There's also plenty of one-off villains who only last one plot and that's it. ranging from the biggest nerd in the world, Bookworm, a Riddler knockoff, the Puzzler, Liberace, and Archer, played by Art Carney. I can say that name and not get in trouble, right? By the time I got to cowboy-themed villain Shame, my reaction was... Really, there are only two original villains that are interesting in any way. First, Egghead, played by Vincent Price. Though he's really only interesting in his first appearance when he takes over Gotham using a completely legal loophole and figuring out Batbrain's true identity simply by using deductive reasoning. Which may not seem like much of an accomplishment given this show, but again, remember what show this is. After that, he becomes completely whipped by a new character he's completely infatuated with. And that is really pathetic to see someone who is strong and independent have their whole life be wrapped around someone they're madly in love with.
Mr. J, we got a little rebel here.
I gotta do it. Give him the usual treatment, Harley.
Okie dokie, Mr. J.
Oh god, no! Ah! Good kid. And the second villain is none other than King Tut, a whack-job university professor who develops a split personality, thinking he's a criminal King Tut. And a hammy one at that.
On your knees, Helot. On your knees before the almighty Pharaoh.
Kneel before Zod!
And to think, for all the one-off villains they make up for the show and never use again, that does leave me with one question. Where is Harvey Dent? Do you know where Harvey is? Do you know who he is? I'll settle for his loved ones. Shame. And with the characters discussed, it's time for the themes, starting with the fights. The fights that they obviously came up with on the spot and are less choreographed than the ones in Star Trek. Let's see, fan bases that are pissed off at Werezilla. Transformers, check. Power Rangers, check. King Kong, check. Spaceballs, check. And now Batman, and, yes, Star Trek, double check. I did mention Art Carney earlier. Oh, Werezilla's gonna have so much hatred when I'm done here. Moving on, the second season of the show had plenty of pointless cameos by random people to pad out the episode. Jeez, Bats, could you be any closer to the boy Blunder during that climb on the wall?
The ambiguously gay duo!
And speaking of cameos, guess who shows up in the middle of Season 2? Yep, Green Hornet and Kato. For such an important crossover, they must have pulled out all the stops and got plenty of A-list villains for the episode. Or one-off villain Colonel Grum. Lame. And speaking of disappointments, as the second season went on and on and on, it goes on for 60 episodes. The second season of Transformers didn't need that many episodes. The third season of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles didn't need that many episodes. I could use it for torture. In fact, I will.
Could you watch something else?
Okay, let's watch Season 3 instead.
No!
Well, too bad, because here we go right into Season 3. After burning out the audience with nothing but two-part episodes for the past 2 seasons, Season 3 started doing one-part episodes. And the plots got lamer. And who should show up in the show but...
Yeah, whose baby are you? Batgirl, 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 Batgirl. Yeah, whose baby are you?
I think we just found the worst superhero theme ever. Batgirl was introduced as a semi-regular partner to the Cape Crusaders, who all villains gained animosity with. And main characters talked about her like she was some kind of goddess almost instantly. Can anybody say Mary Sue? Also, she and Bats had a bit of romantic tension going on between them, both for their superhero and secret identities. Ha ha ha! She's Boy Blunder's age, you bat pedo. Not that I have to put up with Batgirl Sue for very long, as the series reaches its end by episode 120. And to cap off the series, they have a grand finale of all noble villains facing off against the Cape Crusaders in final battle. I'm just kidding. It's another one-off villain who's barely worth mention. And that's good old Bats for ya. Goes out with a whimper, just like I knew he always would. I have to say, this review turned out quite well, and Werezilla was none the wiser.
Target on.
Looks like I spoke too soon.
You have a lot of nerve, Joker. Think you could just waltz in and take over a review? You really think I'd let that slide?
Ungrateful douche. I did the hard part for you. That just leaves you with the wrap-up.
Good point. This is a seriously campy show, and sadly, I don't think it's aged well. It's got huge leaps in logic. Batman is a lot lighter and less serious to the point that modern audiences would actually call it out of character. But in all honesty, this is actually nothing compared to the comics of the time, which if anything else were even more ridiculous and over the top. It's got lots of moments that are downright sexist due to the countless times a female mook would turn on a villain purely because they think Batman is handsome. Catwoman even stops one of her evil plans solely because she's attracted to Batman. Grrr. And Batgirl is the opposite, as everyone plays her up as the greatest thing since sliced bread. Geez, first Jinrai Su and now Batgirl? This is the second time in a row I've had to encounter a nearly insufferable Mary Sue / creator's pet. Though on the plus side, Joker was not exaggerating about Alfred being the most competent character in the show.
Aren't you forgetting something, Werezilla?
Actually, I'm glad you reminded me. This show is surprisingly dependent on angle shots. Whether it's an info dump, a proper fight, or character development, this show will always fall back on shooting the scene on an angle. A good 90% of the series is shot like this, and in this day and age, that can lead to only one reference.
While you were still learning how to spell your name, I was being trained to conquer galaxies.
Wow, you referenced that movie of all things. Even to a guy like me, that's cold.
Yeah, right. Speaking of you tried to take over my show!
Tut, tut, tut. You take things much too seriously.
That is because I danced with the devil in the pale moonlight.
Ah, yes, of course. Good one. Tell you what, I will never hijack your show again. But in exchange, you gotta review something for me.
What deal did you have in mind? What? No! No! Hell no! I am not reviewing that!
Okay, fine. Don't review it. But I'll keep hijacking your show forever until you do.
Oh no! What has Joker asked Werezilla to review? Will he overcome his challenge and live to review another day? Find out next time for the exciting answers. Same Werezilla time, same Werezilla channel.